Welcome to Real Possibilities with AARP, because AARP believes no one's possibilities should ever be limited as they age. Hi, I'm Elaine Warner. I am your host today for Real Possibilities with AARP Connecticut. I'm on staff with the AARP Connecticut statewide office. My title is Senior Program Specialist for Public Outreach and Volunteer Engagement. And AARP has a purpose. Our purpose is to empower you to choose to live how you age. And what could be more important about empowerment than making sure that you have the financial security to live into your older age so that you will not outlive your money. So we have a very exciting topic today. I want to tell you this topic applies to all ages. I've heard recently that millennials can live to be, expect to live to be at least 100 years old. We all know people, maybe parents, grandparents, that are living easily into their 90s. So we have a purpose here that we want to make sure and provide resources and information for you so that you do not outlive your money. And the title of our show today is called Work Hard, Save Easy. We're going to let you know how you can save in a more easier fashion for your financial future. And I just, before we get to our great guest who really is an expert on this subject, we try to bring you people in the know. Our very own volunteer at AARP will be with us in just a moment. But just to bring this point home, you know, you may think that Social Security is the only thing you need to rely on for retirement, and it is indeed a critical piece. But studies have shown that the average amount for Social Security that you will get on an annual basis is about $19,000. And research has also shown, I believe within the state of Connecticut specifically, that the expenses in retirement can be $24,000 at least, including utilities, food, and health care. And we all know that the health care costs keep rising. So right there is a gap of $5,000. There also is a $7 trillion debt nationwide of what people are saving or not saving, as the case may be, and what they should be saving. And there are 600,000 people in the state of Connecticut, as of this taping, that may not have the ability to save for retirement. Now, depending on when you're watching this show, Work Hard, Save Easy, Real Possibilities with AARP, the development of the Connecticut Retirement Security Program, which we're going to tell you about today, so stay tuned, might be in its development stage, or it might already be launched. For you to check the status of it, and we'll keep repeating the number, 860-548-3165. So without further ado, I am going to introduce to you the Vice Chair of the Connecticut Retirement Security Authority, our very own volunteer with AARP, Mr. Tom Sennett. Tom, welcome.
Well, thank you
welcome
so much.
Welcome to Real Possibilities.
It's nice to be here with you.
And thank you also from my end as a staff member for your volunteerism and your leadership. We really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
So Tom, I know that you've been drawn to this subject of retirement savings. It was your career. It's one reason we also know you, and our state director knows of your work in that. So what brought you to AARP initially, and why this particular subject? Why are you passionate and committed to this subject before we get into the details of the actual program?
There's a few threads to the answer to that question. As you mentioned, my career was in retirement.
Yeah.
I worked for 4 different firms over the course of my career, all major financial institutions, all major providers of retirement services and retirement products. And what I found is that in the work that I did with my associates and the client companies that we worked with, when we were successful in that work, we had the ability to touch literally tens of thousands of lives in a very positive way, such that people got to a point in their career where they didn't have to work anymore. If they wanted to pursue another passion, pursue another career, they were able to do so. I got to that point a few years ago myself, and at that point in time, which leads me to thread 2, one of the folks that I know at AARP reached out to me and said, you know, when you've settled into your new pace of life, let's talk, because there's some things that we're working on that I think you might be interested in. And when we had that conversation and I learned about AARP's support of this particular program, you know, I was very drawn to the, what I'll call elegant simplicity of it. You know, one thing I found in the private sector really had never been able to figure out a retirement plan solution for the small end of the markets for small employers. Too costly, too complicated. But I thought that this solution was elegant. Retirement planning can seem pretty daunting.
Yes.
But-
And we're going to try to simplify it today. too.
But
Yeah.
it really comes down to a couple of basic elements. You have to save, because if you don't save, there's no nest egg. You have to invest appropriately so as to optimize the return on your investment. And you have to be able to turn that nest egg into a paycheck after retirement.
Right.
And the program did that. I was so drawn to it that I testified in support of it
Thank you.
in front of the legislature.
Right.
And my volunteer work with AARP, and I think that sort of activity resulted in my being named to the board.
Great. And congratulations on that title. And we're so happy to have you. I like that word elegant, simplicity. We're going to remember that. We'll
Very
have
much.
to use that again. And Tom, you also talk about small businesses. And I believe there's a preponderance of small businesses in the state of Connecticut, certainly a lot of them, where this particular program applies. So the program, again, we're talking about today, depending on when you're watching this show, there are approximately 600,000 people in the state of Connecticut that will be able, or might, as we're talking, depending on when you're watching the show, have access to a vehicle to save where most people save, and that is in their workplace. In fact, I have heard a statistic, Tom, that people are 15% more likely to save if they have a vehicle through their workplace. So, and again, millennials, if you're watching, don't run away from the television right now, because this is all about you. We're both baby boomers. You worked in the industry, so you did save, but our generation is infamous for not saving enough. So I wish somebody had said to me when I was a millennial, make sure you're filling your nest egg early. So congratulations on your early-ish retirement for good savings.
Thank you.
And now if you can walk us through briefly, Tom, the Connecticut Retirement Security Program.
All right. I would say that there's what I would characterize as 4 key elements of that program.
Okay.
One is it is a workplace retirement savings
Yes.
program. And as you said, people are 15 times more likely to save for retirement if they have a workplace retirement savings program. It uses Roth IRAs as the construct to save, which means we're not creating something new, something different. We're using a vehicle that has an existing body of law and regulation around it. The legislation that created the program really calls for what I think a simple sort of plan design. And I think that's important. Simplicity. The complexity just adds confusion and adds cost. And I think the other key characteristic of it is that this is a program that will be run in the private sector.
Okay.
The accounts and the administration of these accounts will be done by a private sector business that has expertise in this area. It's a core business of theirs. The investment management will be delegated to firms that are experts in investment management. So I think it's a kind of a public-private partnership that gets to a good result.
Very good. So let me play devil's advocate here. Let's say I'm the person, I'm one of these 600,000 people. I work for a business, what is it, 5 or more people in the business? Is that the definition? And I, at the moment, let's say hypothetically, I don't have the possibility to save. My employer, let's say, does not offer me a plan where I have a certain amount taken out of my paycheck. Now with the Connecticut Retirement Security Program, how does that work?
Well, with the Retirement Security Program, you have several choices that you have to make. All right. The first one is whether to save or not. And I talked earlier about the importance of saving.
Sure.
So the logical answer is, should I save for retirement? The logical answer to that is yes. So the construct of the program, the design of the program assumes that yes is the appropriate answer. If you're employed, you will be automatically enrolled.
Automatically.
Automatically enrolled.
What if, just to ask you, what if I say, not interested, can't afford it, I need every penny, I don't want anything taken out? Do I have an option to say
or
that?
the other aspect of that is that I may be doing something by myself elsewhere, and I don't need this. in which case the individual can opt out.
Right, and that's another point. But you know what else I've read, Tom? You'll confirm that, I'm sure, that most people don't just walk into a bank and set up their own savings plan. Again, the place where most people save is in the workplace.
In the
Is that
workplace,
correct?
that is correct.
Yes. And I want to come back to some other aspects of it, but just to the Connecticut Retirement Security Authority, you're the vice chair. What is your role specifically, and what are roles of other people in that? Just in case our viewer might want to know briefly, you know, who's helping to develop the program.
Well, my role is one of the board members, and where I've been spending a lot of my time in the work that we've done has been in around program design, leveraging my background in retirement. The other thing that I've spent time on is talking to other states that are
good.
involved in this. There are a number of states that are pursuing a solution like this, as Connecticut is. Oregon has already a program that has been implemented. Illinois is in the early stages of implementation. So by talking to these other states, we can leverage their expertise rather than figure out the answers for ourselves to certain questions we have around this type of program. We can learn from their experience.
Right, steal best practices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As to other members of the board, some of the board members are there by virtue of their office, elected officials. For instance, the treasurer of the state, the comptroller of the state. There are individuals that have been appointed by the governor, 5 individuals by the governor. The majority and minority leaders of both the Senate and the House appointed members to the board. What I have found is through those appointments, it's a rich background of people that have come to this board, different perspectives, different points of expertise. But I've found that so far the work has been very collegial, with everybody set on the objective of making this a reality.
We're talking about people that are on both sides of the aisle politically
Absolutely.
As well. And Tom, I just also want to, I'm being a little subjective, but I'm very proud of the fact that ARP has played a leadership role, because saving for retirement, what else is there to talk about? You know, again, I go back to our purpose to empower people to choose to live how they age, but without the funds. What I heard a financial advisor on television the other day said, you know, having money doesn't necessarily make you the happiest person in the world, but without it, certainly decreases the happiness.
It can be challenging.
So oh so important. So let's come back to me hypothetically. I'm one of the people that hasn't been able to save, and we know in this day and age, you know, it's not like you know, our generation or older than us, often people stayed with a company for like 30, 40 years for a lifetime. There's a lot of churn. Particularly with younger people, they move from company to company. So let's say I start this savings and I move to another company. What happens to my plan?
Now remember, this is a Roth IRA.
Yes.
So you own that.
Okay.
account.
Okay.
So if you leave the company where you are and you have this Roth IRA account in your name, you move to another company. If it's in the state, well, if it's in the state and that company offers a qualified retirement program, 401k, defined benefit plan, you have the ability to participate in that company's sponsored program. If you move to and are now employed by an employer that doesn't have such a program, then you will continue to have the opportunity to save in this program.
Because you own, so to speak.
Oh,
That Roth IRA, whether it's in Connecticut with a job or another state,
If you
that may
move to
not have
another
the
state,
program,
that Roth
that
IRA
comes with you.
is yours.
Yeah, which has been very different with employers previously. Now you can, it's portable, correct? Is the word that
Absolutely.
we would say. And then the amount that you can save, how much could I save if, again, I had a need for this? How much could I save?
Well, again, that's another choice that you have.
Okay, so I hear choice a lot. I like that. That's the operative word. Okay.
You have a choice. If you don't make a choice, you know, some people are just frozen by too many choices. So again, the way that the program is structured, if you don't make a choice, then it will be automatically a contribution rate of 3%.
Okay.
If that's too much for you, you can dial it back to less. As I mentioned before, you can opt out of the program completely. Or if you want to save more for your retirement, then you can increase the percentage
So all
of
three
your
choices.
contribution.
You can say no, you can say less, you can say more.
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Now, also, what ages does this affect? You know, I said I'm a baby boomer, so let's say it applies to me. and I say, oh, you know what, I'm really close to retirement. This is not going to impact me at all. What would you say to that?
I'd say any amount that you can set aside helps for retirement.
Well, and I guess we come back again to when I opened the program, I said that the average amount for Social Security is $19,000 a year. Some people are led to believe that they're going to be able to live on that. Not the case, really, because there's a gap between...
Social Security was never designed to be the sole source of retirement income.
Yeah, critical piece, and ARP always wants to make sure it stays
Absolutely.
strong and solvent, but a critical piece. So
But
again,
to your point about the age,
Yes.
the legislation provides for the ability for someone to begin saving at age 19.
okay,
And when you consider that, the length of time that somebody can save, the way that those contributions can accumulate, and more importantly, the way investment earnings can accumulate.
right,
You know, over the 25-year-old has a 40-year time period to retirement.
yeah, at least,
As,
right.
as we tape this program today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is around 25,000. 40 years ago, it was less than 900.
Okay.
So you can see in the increase of the value of the Dow and the change in that index, how powerful the investment earnings could be in turning those early contributions into really a significant nest egg.
And Tom, I'm already seeing the psychological effects. So if you begin to watch, let's say you're 19 or 25, or you're a millennial, you're starting to see those savings compound, and you go and check, your retirement savings, and you see, hopefully that's going to be an impetus to have you save more. Let's talk about the state of Connecticut. You talked about private and public. So if you can just clarify that also, and why might this program have advantages for the state of Connecticut?
Well, you talked about 600,000 people without access to a workplace retirement savings program. To the extent that there is a mechanism for 600,000 people to enjoy a more secure retirement, I mean, that in itself is a good outcome. But that outcome is not the only outcome here. It's not all an altruistic outcome. From studies that have been done, if low-income folks can save just $1,000 or more a year for retirement, the study indicates that the state can save $90 million a year in social safety net costs.
So let me repeat that. 1,000 a month, you're saying.
1,000 a year.
A year, excuse me. A year.
A year.
Even better. I mean, better that you don't have to save as much, but we want people to save more. Translates into $90 million savings for the state of Connecticut.
Less strain on Medicaid, less
Okay.
strain on housing assistance, food stamps,
Right.
those sorts of safety net programs.
Well, and hopefully with the ongoing cash flow from the retirement savings, we're healthier. And that, healthier, and that helps everybody, right?
Sure.
Helps the community, helps the state. And let me stress again, we're all living longer, so all the more reason that we're talking about this subject today. If you've just joined us, my name is Elaine Warner. I'm on staff with the ARP Connecticut Nonprofit Office. The title of our program in your local community today is called Work Hard, Save Easy. We are talking about some really exciting news. There's a program called the Connecticut Retirement Security Program, allowing about 600,000 people in the state of Connecticut to save where they may not have been able to save through their employer, the program is, in the past. So depending on when you're watching this program, it may still be in the final development, or it may already exist. I'm going to give you a phone number, also on a website to tap into to see where we're at, but feel free to call our Associate State Director for Advocacy, John, in our ARP nonprofit office. That direct line is 860-548-3165. And then we do have a website that you can go to, which is www.arp.org/Connecticut Retirement Security. And Tom Sennett is our guest again today on Real Possibilities with ARP. Tom is a vice chair with the Connecticut Retirement Security Authority. So, Tom, you've been through this from beginning to development to production to end result. When did you actually start with the whole program?
Started in August of 2017 was the first time that the board met.
Okay. And how did the phases go? Were there challenges to it? What did you learn through the process that might apply to just knowledge for our viewer, or things that you might have learned through the process?
Well, I think to date the the basic groundwork is being laid for the program. And at this point in time, I think the board appreciates that this is a project that cannot be done out of the side of somebody's desk. And where our focus is at the point of this taping is retaining an executive director to provide for really grabbing implementation and putting this thing into place.
So that person would be a permanent executive director for this program.
Correct.
So that's a good thing for folks to know as you're watching, that somebody is sort of the watchkeeper on this program, or that's how serious the program is. That's how much we hold it in high esteem.
Absolutely.
And the importance of it, that we actually have an executive director. Also, if you're interested in doing any volunteering on this particular issue, ARP, as the program has unfolded and into its formal implementation, we are traveling around the state. We have sort of this roadshow in letting folks know that what are the nuances, the specifics of the program, as Tom and I are talking about today. If you go to aarp.org/CT, you look for upcoming events on that site, just scroll through and you'll see some of the various events around the state. And our volunteers, as you know, are very engaged in this process. So if you're interested in becoming an advocacy volunteer, certainly you can do that. You can call me directly as well, because I'm the program specialist for volunteer engagement. My direct line, 860-548-3169. And Tom, on the subject of volunteerism, you've been a volunteer a couple of years now, am I correct? So if you were to do your own little pitch about, not to put words in your mouth, to our viewer, if they were interested in volunteerism with ARP, just maybe some of the rewards that you've had of it. I hear all the time, and again, I'm not just saying this because I'm on staff, but I hear frequently our volunteers saying how rewarding their work really is, and I think particularly in this area.
Well, for me, I think the rewards come in a couple of areas. One is that it leverages the experience I had over the course of my career, and it enables me to continue to provide that expertise and remain engaged. The other big thing is that it provides the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives.
Right.
What I have found as a volunteer, while I have gravitated to this particular focus, ARP is involved in a lot of different activities and a lot of different initiatives. So I think that if somebody's interested in getting involved and making a difference, there's a wealth of opportunities that exist.
Well, and I thank you for that perfect segue, because you talked about making a difference, and there's so many different areas. Just briefly to let you know, lots of opportunities to get engaged with AARP. We always realize if you're retired that it's your free time. We want to make sure it's a good fit. If you're not retired, still working out of choice or need, maybe you still need to save more for your retirement security, that we do have activities in the evening and the weekends. Again, you can find that at arp.org/CT. And Tom, just to mention some of the other advocacy areas, your work is in our advocacy. We do advocacy and community outreach. Again, we're the nonprofit side of ARP, but we do caregiving is a huge issue for us. We help lead and support legislation, always in a nonpartisan way. We know people want to age with quality and dignity in their own communities. That's why we're also talking about retirement security, utilities, consumer issues we also work on. We also have an effort with other partner organizations on paid family medical leave, which also could be a savings, taps right into this. We've tied it to caregiving. We have a fraud watch program. Any of you using technology certainly are aware of what can seem like fraudulent phone calls or on the internet, and often they can be. So we teach you with other partner organizations how to prevent and protect fraud. We have livable communities, again, back to so we can all age with quality and dignity, enough money, and have all the resources to age within our community. So there's much, much more to talk about. But just to recap here, Tom, with a couple minutes left, our show today is Work Hard, Save Easy. We're talking about the Connecticut Retirement Security Program, and if you can just run through the bullets again quickly for our viewer to recap the program.
In terms of the broad
structure,
brushstrokes? The broad outline of it is that it is a workplace retirement savings program. It uses a Roth IRA as the vehicle to accumulate savings for retirement. By virtue of the legislation, the way that the legislation was created. And by virtue of, I think, the focus of the board, the focus to keep it simple.
Yeah,
And
like that.
not a great deal of complexity. And finally, I think the key aspect of the program and a key ingredient for success is looking to the private sector to administer the program and manage assets. You have firms that are experts in 401ks, retirement savings. Use a firm that has that expertise. You have firms that are experts in mutual funds and commingled funds, investments available for savings. Use that expertise.
And again, Tom is the vice chair of the Connecticut Retirement Security where to get it's not council board.
Yeah.
So there's so many people on the board that really are watching this so carefully
Absolutely.
and have really vetted it and gone through the whole process. And I love your word of simplicity. Tom, is there anything I haven't asked you about the program or something we should mention to our viewer that maybe we think they should know? Comes to mind at all, or a parting thought you want to leave with them?
Parting thought, and you talked about this at the beginning, the retirement crisis that exists in America today.
Yes.
You know, you have baby boomers that are approaching retirement that really are not prepared to do so.
Exactly.
And where this gap exists most crucially, you know, where it's the biggest challenge resides is those that lack workplace retirement savings.
Yes.
So I think what this particular approach does, this particular solution does, is it provides an opportunity to address that gap and fill that gap. So that you have people that are reaching their retirement years where they can have a more secure retirement, enjoy it with dignity, and again, less strain on governmental resources.
Great parting thoughts, Tom. Thank you. So again, it's easy. You don't have to, it's not complicated.
Right.
Any questions about the Connecticut Retirement Security Program, you can call our Associate State Director for Advocacy, John, in the Connecticut Nonprofit Office of ARP. That telephone number is 860-548-3165. We'd also love to talk to you about volunteering. I want to thank our guest today, Tom Sennett. Tom, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Tom, again, is a volunteer with ARP Connecticut. He brings his own career expertise, now retired, and applies it to members and residents of Connecticut to help you save for retirement. The name of our program today, Work Hard, Save Easy. I hope we have given you some really good takeaways and that you'll have a better financial future for having watched this program. If you're a member of ARP, we want to say thank you. And look for us again. We'll be back in your local community. And thanks for watching.